Today, we'll be going over reflecting business hierarchies. This module will be focused towards the business practitioner role, and the module will be written on Liferay DXP 7.3. Some key module takeaways. First, organizations enable businesses to collect and group users hierarchically in order to mimic real-life departmental structures. Second, organizations can be used to efficiently assign roles and permissions to users that are applied to the scope of the organization of which they are members. So using organizations, we can organize our users and employees hierarchically in our Liferay system to mimic the real-life structures we have set up in our business. And just as well, we can use the roles and permissions within organizations to apply the scope necessary within those organizations for our users. Some exercise prerequisites. For these exercises, you should have the Java JDK installed in order to run Liferay DXP. The download link is included below. The unzipped module exercise files should be unzipped in the following folder structure. If you're on Windows, extract your files to the C drive underneath the Liferay folder. If you are on a Unix system, that being Mac OS or Linux, go ahead and extract the module exercise files into your user home directory underneath the Liferay folder. You'll also need a running instance of Liferay DXP, and you will need some users we created in the previous exercises, them being James Murray, Hannah Jones, and Josiah Copeland. Omar Miles was actually a bonus exercise, so you may not have that user created. Just go ahead and create a basic user for Omar Miles. You will not need anything other than the default settings for Omar Miles' profile. If you do not have these users from running the previous exercises and previous modules, just go ahead and get into your main home site and create those users in your backend. The use case is for the Livingston Hotels and Resorts. In order to effectively manage its many employees and their permissions on the platform, Livingston needs to collect users into groups that mimic the corporate structure. Underneath the Livingston Hotels and Resorts tier, we have the locations for Livingston. They have North America, Europe, and Asia. And for each one, they have unique names and hotels for their regions. So using Liferay organizations, we can place the regions and the hotels underneath those regions into their respective organizations. Relevant key performance indicators. For this module, Livingston wants to improve the user management capabilities for administrators, and Livingston would like to reduce the amount of time spent assigning user permissions across multiple sites. Using organizations. In Liferay DXP, organizations are a method of grouping users hierarchically. Organizations enable distributed user management. They typically are used to reflect departmental structures, and organizations can be applied to any group hierarchy from small clubs to large government agencies. An example presented to us is a resort location that has a physical plant department, a recreation department, a sales department, a housekeeping department, and a front desk department. Each of these could be modeled using organizations, with the top-level organization representing the resort itself, and the sub-organizations representing each department. Being hierarchical by nature, organizations can be created with parent-child relationships. The child organizations exist within their respective parent organizations. All members of a child organization are implicit members of its parent organization. Members of a parent organization are not necessarily members of the associated child organization. So the inheritance is a one-way street. Organization administrators have the ability to manage the users within an organization, as well as any of those associated child organizations. Organization administrators are an entirely different set of permissions from site administrators. However, if an organization has an associated site, the organization administrator acts as the site administrator for the organization site and can then manage the content within the site. Organization administrators cannot add existing users to their organization, but they can create new users within the organization. So as you can see, organization administrators are tightly scoped to their organization. Organization sites. The organization sites are sites that are created in association with a particular organization. All the users that are members of an organization are automatically given membership to the organization site. Just as well, organization administrators are given site administrator permissions for the organization site. Organization roles. Organization roles are groups of permissions that are applied to the scope of the organization and any of its associated child organizations. Out of the box, Liferay DXP has 5 organization roles: the Account Manager, Organization Administrator, Organization Content Reviewer, Organization Owner, and Organization User. Each one is similar to the respective regular roles or site roles given throughout the Liferay DXP site. Custom organization roles can be created from the control panel, again very similar to site roles. And we've reached the knowledge check. Members of a child organization are implicitly members of its associated parent organization. If their organization has an organization site, the organization administrator would have more permissions than the typical site administrator. If their organization has an organization site, the organization administrator has more permissions than a typical site administrator. The members of an organization are automatically assigned the role of an organization user.